Today we're going to be speaking beauty. We're going to be learning about different kinds of hair. And most importantly, we're going to be speaking to a student who made a difference in her community by sharing and giving some education about African hair, about Afro-Caribbean hair texture, and what it feels like, or what her journey has been through living as a Black Canadian here in New Brunswick, and her experience with her own hair texture. Let's welcome with me today Nifemi Apantaku. Hi, Nifemi.
Hi.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today on
Thank you
this
for
episode. Awesome. I know that you had such a lovely story to share, with, especially with the experience that you had in school, and how you were sharing about different hair textures, especially about the African hair texture, which is very kinky in nature. But before we go into that, do you want to share a bit about yourself, what you do, and yeah, what exactly, who is Nifemi, and what have you been up to?
Okay, so I recently just graduated grade 12 from Rockday High School in St. John. And in the fall, I'll be attending Western for Media Information and Technoculture, which I'm really excited about. In my free time, I'm mostly just like hanging out with my friends or painting, sewing, stuff like that.
That's nice and exciting. Sounds really exciting. And congratulations, by the way, on your graduation. Right. So, Nifemi, we want to hear your story. I know that you started this thing where you made models using Black hair texture, and you were doing that to educate people in the school. Can you tell us about this story? What got you started? Why did you start, and how did this all come about?
Okay, so the project was for a class called Personal Interest. I was taking the class in my second semester of grade 12, and I was taking the second part of the class because it's in two parts, and I had taken the first part at my last semester of grade 11. So I go to a very predominantly white school. I was one of the only Black students in my school. And this year, like my previous year, there were a lot of new Black students, and I guess people had some time to adjust because the school had been so predominantly white, and so we had a few issues of people touching Black people's hair and things like that. And I remember that my principal had addressed it earlier in the year, but I feel like there were some people that still weren't understanding the importance and how it's not just hair and it's actually something else and it has a deeper meaning to it. Um, so that's why for my task, I wanted to make something that I could not only learn from, but I could educate other people from.
That's fantastic. And I mean, it's really impressive that you took on that project and decided that you wanted to go beyond what your principal had done, which is speaking to the students about it. But then you wanted to show them what it's like, just so that they don't have to actually go to people's hair and have to touch just to feel the texture. So what was that project like? I know you did that project a couple of times, and what did you do exactly? Can you describe that project to us?
Yes. So the first thing that I did was I did a lot of research. I researched different hairstyles, braids, box braids, cornrows, afros. So I did all of that. And I put all of my research into a document. And with that document, I made paragraphs that basically depicted what the hairstyle was and the history behind it. And then I got canvases. I made war painting, and I painted after that. I weaved the hair into the canvas. So I used a needle and thread and I sewed it.
Oh my gosh, that's really beautiful and very, very creative. That's actually beyond educating, that's a work of art. So the school bought all those paintings or all those works from you. Do you have any, is this something you can, people can still reach out to you to buy? Are they available at museums? How can people access this creation of yours?
Well, there are still up at my school, so if people in the community of St. John ever wanted to visit, I'm sure they would be able to go to my school. In means of like someone purchasing their own, considering that I'm not going to be in Brunswick for a while, it may be a bit hard, but maybe during Christmas, at my Christmas break when I come back, or definitely during my summer break, I'll definitely be opening up to making them for.
So, can you tell us a bit more about the project? I know you did say you did some research, you did labeling, and you did a bit of work because we have, although we have some of the photos of the project that you did, how long did this take you? Because was this a project that you required as part of the courses that you took in school, or was this just something that you did for the purpose of educating people?
So the project was for a course, but I didn't need to go as far as I did because I know a lot of other people in the course, they just kind of presented their work with a PowerPoint or something else, or like a Bristol board, but I wanted something that would educate not only just the people in my class, but the whole school as a whole. Um, so I definitely did do a lot more work than intended, and it did take quite a while. It took me the entire semester, and even the day before the project was due, I was still sewing things and I was still making sure that all the paint was like the right color and things like that. I feel like definitely what took the most time for me to do was just put all of the hair on the painting, especially since they're all sewn on it. So that definitely is what took my time during the
Wow.
painting. And considering that I was still doing I was still doing four other courses,
Yeah.
it was a lot. Yeah.
That must have been a lot of work, a lot of effort put into it. So tell me, what was the impact like in school, in the community? Did people really appreciate having that project available to them? And for the people of color, the people of African descent, people who have Afrocentric hair around, how did that impact them? Living in being in the school and even in the community as a whole.
So I definitely got a lot of positive feedback from my peers of them looking because it is displayed in my school's library. So I did get a lot of people like, oh, your paintings are so nice, all that. And I got a lot of people to understand how big hair was for Black people until they read my paintings and they saw my paintings. I also posted my paintings on my Instagram. I got a lot of positive feedback. I got a lot of DMs, a lot of reshares of people telling how they've how they've gone through what I went through living as a Black woman in a white centered community and having to like be so insecure about your hair. And just having that pride about your hair that just because it's not like everybody else's that it's not as beautiful. So I it did have a very positive impact.
Nice. That's good to know that you, even with that project, as it had a lot of work. I mean, you put in a lot of work, and as simple as it might seem, it actually had a lot of impact amongst your friends, amongst people in the community, and people in the school. Well, Nifemi, thank you so much. It's been interesting learning about your journey as a person of African descent living in New Brunswick, Canada. I know that you are Canadian as well, so I could as well refer to you as Black Canadian. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. It's very, very enlightening and also inspiring, and having to be a part of being a solution to a part of people's journey here, especially for newcomers who are new to the culture here and are trying to integrate into the Canadian culture, and still helping them to feel at home by helping others learn about them and how to deal with them. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us.
Thank you for having me.
Since it's all about beauty today, we're going to be speaking with an esthetician who has been doing this job from Nigeria. Let's get to meet Ife. Hi, Ife. Oh my gosh, you look so glam, so pretty. Did you do that makeup yourself?
Yes, I did.
And how long did it take you to get so pretty and all dressed up? I mean, with your makeup.
My makeup took me 40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes exactly. Because I actually had to set time.
It takes that long to get a face bit. And if I was getting dressed for a dinner or for a wedding occasion, how long would that take me?
Depends on kind of makeup that you want. If you want a really soft glam, we should be done in about 40-45 minutes and we are good to go. If you want to really look glammed, you want to be extra, we should be done in an hour, 30 minutes.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to come back to that. So hold on that, because I know that there are other kinds of makeup as well. I know that there is the bridal makeup and stuff like that. So we'll come back to that. We just want to get to know you first of all. I recall that you have been doing this as far back as while you were in Nigeria. Do you want to take us through your journey? How long have you been doing this for? And why did you decide to do this after you arrived here in Canada?
Okay, thank you for that great question. I've actually been looking forward to take people through my journey. It was actually an awesome journey for me. It started back in 2012. My brother had a friend that was a makeup artist in Lagos, and I was staying in Ogun State. You know the distance, not the same state. It was far. My brother was like, "I have a friend. You need to try this out." I'm like, "Yes." Makeup just started getting everywhere then, and I'm like, "Yes, I'm interested." And every weekend, I had to travel to another state to learn. So I travel on Friday and I come back to my own state on Sunday, and I had to do work on Monday. So it started far as 2012. It was awesome, but fully, and I think I started fully 2015.
Wow, 2015. So you've been doing this for about 7 years now. Wow, that's interesting. And by the way, for those who don't know what the states are like in Nigeria, states can be compared to a province. So imagine having to travel from one province to another province every weekend just to learn the art of makeup. That is a lot of investment. That is a lot of commitment. You mentioned something about the fact that it was getting popular. Is this popular by the art? Who, among what category of people was this getting popular with? Like, what were the...
Makeup,
Yeah, sorry, go
so
ahead.
makeup has always been a thing, but I think it started getting really, really popular, and people were kind to like pick interest in makeup then, and it was an art everybody wanted to learn. Quite all right, everybody wanted to be able to. Um, I think makeup is actually an art and expression, so everybody wanted to be able to express themselves in one way or the other through art, and it was just everywhere, both young, old, grown. Everybody just wanted to be an artist then. And one thing about makeup is if it's not your passion, you definitely cannot go far.
Right. So when you say everybody wanted to either learn or have their faces nicely beat up, would you be referring to like what kind of occasions would people want to? Do you mean like an everyday makeup? Would you get jobs or would you get clients for an everyday outing, like say going to the office? What kind of events would require that people would want to have their faces made up?
First, definitely the bride. Every bride wants to look exceptional on their big day. They want to stand out. Definitely is going to be the bride. And secondly is going to be the bridesmaid. And everybody definitely want to look glam for everyday makeup. So people also learn their everyday glam.
That's interesting. Something else I recall from Nigeria is that uh, there Nigerians are big on parties. And I know that people want to look really nice to parties. So it's not just brides at their own weddings, it's people on their birthdays. I know Nigerians are big on photography as well. For birthdays, they want to celebrate their birthdays with a photo shoot. And so they will get a makeup done for themselves. When you compare this with living here in Canada, how many, what's the traffic like? Because I know that I definitely know Canadians don't party as much as Nigerians do. Like every weekend, you can be sure to have a party. And I mean a big party where you will have a DJ, where you will have people all dressed up and all of that. How do you compare these experiences?
They're actually two different things. Two different things. I mean, coming from a place that they love to party, not just on weekends, not just on weekends, we love to party like every day, Monday to Sunday, you definitely have clients. Monday to Sunday, there is no way as a makeup artist you don't get booked. You definitely will get booked. Then comparing that to Canada, it's actually not been that easy because you don't get clients maybe twice a month when I just came in, maybe twice a month until things started getting better to at least once a week. So right now, the only thing you have to keep doing is just keep pushing. And I mean, coming to a new place until you are well recognized, well known, definitely you get there. There are a lot of makeup artists that are here and they get booked almost all the time. So definitely with time, I will definitely be there as well. So
That's interesting, actually, because I was getting worried when you said once a month and then once a week. And I was like, well, if this is a business that you want to do, how do you want to live on this if you're just getting booked once a month or once every week? But that's interesting to know that you can actually get bookings every day. And that brings me to my next question is, I mean, this is something you have been doing from Nigeria, so it does make sense if you decide that you want to continue that journey here. Do you want to take us through that journey? Because I know that you cannot work as a makeup artist or an esthetician without being licensed here in Canada, in New Brunswick, well, to start with. Do you want to tell us about that?
in total, I think it took me about 7 months. I started the licensing last year, and I finally got licensed about 2 months ago, which was actually really good for me. I mean, it was one of my greatest achievements so far. I was really proud of myself. I'm thankful to God for that. So it was quite stressful. At some point, I actually gave up. I said I wasn't interested anymore. And I told myself, Ife, you've gone this far. The only thing you can do is just complete this and get it all done so you can achieve everything you've looked up to and be wherever it is you want to be as a professional makeup artist. So
That's fantastic. Congratulations, by the way. You must be so proud of yourself for actually making it to this goal. Congratulations. That's awesome.
thank you.
You
Thank you.
spoke about some challenges. Do you mind sharing some of those challenges? What were the bottlenecks?
Okay.
What did you go through?
So I was licensed back in Nigeria, and I already have my job experience as a makeup artist. But the thing is, it's just like you going to school in another country and coming to another country. You definitely know it's not going to be the same. So I did my exam. Unfortunately, I failed. I mean, it was three. I mean, it was four. I passed three, and I failed one, which I had to take again. Unfortunately, I had to register in the school for me to be able to, all because of one course that I failed. So I had to start up all over again for me to be able to get that. And another thing was getting an admission into a school, which was really challenging. They already had their calendar year, and all the times I called was just not the right time. I mean, most of them were actually starting in September. So that means I had to wait till this year, September, to be able to get it all done, which was really frustrating for me. But gladly I got help. I was connected to someone directly with a school directly that was able to help me out and just help me with the few hours that I needed to complete so I could retake that exam that I failed, and that was it.
That must have been a lot. I mean, who would have thought that it takes so much commitment and so much effort to actually get into a school for beauty? I mean, the things we take for granted, right? We ladies, we just pick up our makeup bags in the mornings and we just put on some powder, lip gloss, and stuff, and then we just put all that on our faces without realizing how much the makeup artists go through. And sometimes we could even be impatient when we book and we have events, right? We really don't know how much has gone into that. That is really interesting. That's very inspiring too, that you were able to stay on course. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what does it look like for you? What kind of events do you see yourself working on or working with right now in New Brunswick? Because I know it's different from back home. You don't have traditional parties to work with, or as many traditional parties and things like that. So what does it look like now for you?
Um, First thing, I definitely will be proud of myself and thankful for to be able to do is definitely be able to work with one of the makeup stores in New Brunswick or Moncton specifically. And because I discovered there is no one to really assist with women of colors. So most times when you go there is either you get the wrong shade of foundation or you get the wrong shade of powder and all that. It has been an absolute concern to me. So one thing I definitely want to do first is to be able to get myself there in any of the brands, maybe Sephora, or any brands that are there, to be able to assist with women of color. Then I can be able to get myself into the bridal industry. Definitely, that's definitely. I'm being able to put a smile on everybody's face, making them look exceptional and making me absolutely.
That's awesome, Ife. And that right there is community development, because you wanting to fill that gap for women of color, that is huge. Because I can testify to that. I have bought myself a couple of makeup products where I had them tested and I wasn't as excited because I just didn't have someone who understood my color tones. So actually having someone who can represent women of color is huge. And for me, I see that as community development, and I say thank you for putting yourself out there. Thank you for going through all that effort just to be able to meet the needs of other women of color. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's do a bit of promotion for you. I know that right now you are working as a freelance esthetician. How can we find you? How can people get to know about your work? Where can we see what you've been doing? Pending when you are able to work with a store.
Absolutely. I have an Instagram page, which is Ife spelled I India F Frank E Edward underscore creations. That's my Instagram handle. And for my Gmail, definitely you can reach me out, which is Ife I India F Frank E Edward M Mother, O Oscar, T Tom, U Union, N Nancy at gmail.com.
And one last word for women of color and women out there who don't think it's so important to get a face bit or to get a makeup done. What do you want to say? Speak to us about facial care just before you go.
I mean, facial care is absolutely important. I mean, if you don't, one thing I say to myself, you can beat me with your outfit, but definitely cannot beat me with your makeup. I mean, one thing people see in you, even most times when I'm not well dressed, I'm like, my makeup will cover up for me, and that is it. Makeup is important, no matter how small it is, even if it's just to brush your eyebrow, have your lip gloss on. It is really important. One thing is dress the way you want to be addressed. It is important. It enhance. We all are beautiful in our own way, but definitely enhance your beauty.
I love that. And I love that quote, especially that says, you can beat me with your dress, but not with your face. Especially in times like this where we all communicate virtually. People don't necessarily see everything that you wear, but people see your face. So basically your face represents you, and you want your face to be able to make that statement that keeps a great memory in the minds of people that I remember that person I saw. She was actually looking very bright. She was looking very lovely. You know, it's great to note. Thank you so much for your time with us tonight, Ife. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. And as Ife mentioned, you can find her on Instagram at Ife_creations, where she puts up all the different works that she's been doing, and you can reach out to her for your different events. And let's get you all pretty, and let's get the faces making statements out there. Women of color, you have a representative in the beauty world. Let's take advantage of that.